between Columbus and Cleveland is Mid-Ohio, and it's ready for the NTT IndyCar Series annual visit. We're sitting on a grassy hill and watching the stars of IndyCar flash by at crazy speeds is a time-honored tradition. It's racing on a classic American road course on America's birthday weekend. NBC Sports welcomes you to IndyCar Live, presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Yeah, it's always great to come back to Mid-Ohio when we're ready for an exciting afternoon. That is for sure. Hey folks, Lee Diffie along with Townsend Bell and James Hinchcliffe as we cross over into the second half of this 2023 NTT IndyCar Series season. It's being dominated by Chip Ganassi Racing's Alex Palou. However, on the pole position today is the highest paid driver in this series, T-Bell. But he's yet to stand on the podium in the 2023 racing season. Is today delivery day?
Oh, it better be, because for Colton Herta, he was absolutely robbed at Road America, the last IndyCar race on the schedule. He started up front, got it done in qualifying on pole position. There you see the NTTP1 award, battling with championship leader, and everybody thinks the best driver in the series right now there, Alex Palou. He passed him, he pulled away, but his team made a critical error in the closing stages. Colton Herta had to save fuel to get to the finish because he pitted a lap too early. He could only shrug his shoulders with team owner Michael Andretti at what could have been. It's their job, the team and Colton, to get it done today.
So back-to-back pole positions for Colton Herta. Guess who's sharing the front row with him? Wait for it. Graham Rahal. Yes, Hinch, has been a miraculous turnaround by Team RLL.
It really has been. The last 18 months, we've talked a lot about the struggles of that camp. Just look back a little over a month ago, Indy 500, Graham Rahal failing to qualify. This was the scene at RLL, but let's go back to just yesterday. It was hugs and high fives. Graham Rahal in his home race on the front row. His teammates there, Jack Harvey and Christian Lundgaard, also making it into the second round of qualifying. It has been a standout weekend for this group as a whole, and I know all three of those drivers very excited for a strong result today.
So we had a pretty scary moment yesterday. If you haven't seen this, I mean, these images have gone all around the world. It affected Simon Pagenaud of Meyershank Racing, series champion, Indy 500 winner. Check this out.
Scariest thing that can happen to you as a racing driver, brake failure at the end of the fastest part of this racetrack. Watch on board from Pagenaud. Car instantly spins. It soared about 150 feet before it even touched down the first time. It barrel rolled over and over again, and the accelerometers in Pagenaud's ears exceeded 80 Gs, which meant not approved to drive today.
Pleased to say that Simon, after he was extracted from the car with the AMR safety team, walked away. He's okay, but as he told our Dylan Welsh earlier today, he will not be racing in this Honda Indy 200 here at Mid-Ohio.
I'm a pro at what I do. I can tell them when a race car is good or not. They can tell me on my health. So it's what it is. Happy to be here following the team today and seeing how Connor does. And I hope he can bring a lot of points to the team.
I love Simon's approach to this. You got to trust the AMR safety team and the medical staff here, some of the best in the business. And for a driver, you know how proud drivers are, Townsend, to be able to sit down and watch this man, Connor Daly, fill in for him. It's tough, but I respect his approach to this.
And a huge opportunity for Connor Daly. Found out late last night to be on call and be ready, and got the call this morning. He'll fill in for Pagenaud. It's a great chance for the young American.
He was here just watching and hanging out with his IndyCar family, and this opportunity arose. So we're not too far away from race start. Let's get things going with the pre-event ceremonies.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, we ask that you please rise and remove your hats as the Mansfield Police Department presents our nation's colors. Please remain standing as Chaplain Chuck Lessick of IndyCar Ministries offers today's invocation.
Let's pray. Lord God, we just want to thank you for this day and the gift that is to each one of us. As we celebrate our independence, we thank you for our freedom and for those who serve to protect it. We look forward to an exciting yet safe day of racing and ask this race be a blessing to this entire community. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Here today to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome recent finalists of NBC's The Voice, the Singing Sisters Trio, Maddie, Anna, and Bella, of Sorella.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It is 4th of July weekend in the heartland of America, and fans have been looking for real estates all morning long, and everyone is chasing Alex Palou. He has dominated the last 4 weekends, winning 3. Can anybody catch the Chip Ganassi Racing driver today?
With the 2023 NTT IndyCar Series at the halfway point, that crowd right there assembled on the hill, they are ready to see some classic IndyCar racing. And IndyCar racing that we have seen over these opening 8 rounds of this series thus far. It sure has been entertaining.
Tensions are rising.
The top 2 are into the tires.
Well, we saw on track he's not racing.
Oh, no, you got a car in the barrier.
Oh, that's a late move.
The 550 get a penalty for that. Wow.
I'm not going to apologize for that.
I guess it's all gloves off from this point.
Oh my goodness! Palou is out!
What the did you do? What an absolute legend the 21 is. What an idiot! Y'all behind y'all.
Oh, that's Stingray Rob!
Dang it, guys! What the heck, man?
I think I just need to pay more attention to the stereotypes of the series.
A wood on the inside of Marcus Ericsson, a spin!
I was way too nice. I'll be sure that he comes with me next time.
Look at this, the teammates. Oh, this might be a relationship changer.
We'll discuss it internally.
Will Power and Scott Dixon are off.
What the
I have never seen Will Power that fired up.
Really disappointed. And Grosjean is a piece of crap. He needs a punch in the face.
Alex Palou wins again. Back-to-back races.
Let's go! Woo! Thank you, boys. What a year.
NBC Sports, your home of motorsports, welcomes you to round 9 of the NTT IndyCar Series for 2023. This is the Honda Indy 200 here at Mid-Ohio. We are halfway between Columbus and Cleveland. What's on the menu today? 80 laps, 180 miles. And the championship looks like this. In dominant fashion, Alex Palou of Chip Ganassi Racing stands at the top with an advantage, a healthy advantage of 74 points. Keep in mind, before you get into bonus points, it's 50 for a win in IndyCar racing. So that shows you how handsome Palou's lead is over his teammate Marcus Ericsson. And then the Indy 500 winner from Team Penske, Joseph Newgarden. You go back to Scott Dixon, the 6-time series champ, who's with inside 100 from the lead. Let's talk more about championship points. How do you see where Alex Palou is positioned, James?
I mean, it's incredible to see this kind of gap at this point of the season. You know, you think we went into Laguna Seca, the final round of the championship last year, with 6 drivers mathematically in the hunt. That means within 54 points. Right now, the gap he has well over a full race weekend of points. It's an impressive margin at this phase of the season, Townsend.
But guys, if you look at the history of IndyCar, what Alex Palou has accomplished in his young career, look at his first 55 career starts, framed up against the great Mario Andretti, the legend AJ Foyt, and guys like Power and Dixon and Michael Andretti. Palou is on pace for one of the greatest starts we've ever seen to an IndyCar career. 7 wins, 19 podiums, 36 top 10s, and such a cool, calm temperament in every single phase of this sport.
He has been fast and consistent this weekend. He starts on the second row as we say good afternoon to Dylan Welsh. Dylan?
Hey, Danville, despite qualifying 8th, Scott McLaughlin said he felt like his qualifying laps were some of his best laps of the weekend. This is an important race for the Thirsty 3 team and Scott McLaughlin. They're the defending race winners, with Scott scoring his 2nd career IndyCar victory here last year. And that victory set the tone for a really strong second half of their 2022 season. Now this year, since his win at Barber in late April, his best finish in those 4 races since is only a 7th, but spoke to him before he climbed in, told me their car and strategy are always on point, so it's up to him to get it done today, Kevin.
Dylan, we normally don't find Pato O'Ward way back here at the back of the grid. This is his worst start in his IndyCar career, but this is a fast car. 3/10 faster than everybody on Friday, but he had a spin in qualifying. Keep an eye on Pato O'Ward from 25th. He's going to have to go off strategy, but we might see him move forward. About ready to fire him up. It's time for the command at Mid-Ohio.
Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in all of sport. Here to give the command for the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio, presented by the 2023 Hybrid Accord, please welcome singing sister trio, Sorella.
Drivers, start your engines!
The sisters grew up within earshot of the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, so to come back here and give the command, what an honor. And we will go racing in the Honda Indy 200 next. 4th of July weekend at a classic American road course. Can't ask for it to be much better. Yes, we did also wish Hinch happy Canada Day yesterday. He celebrated, everybody's celebrating, even Team Rahal. Lots of the drivers out meeting the fans, that's what it's all about. So we saw some fireworks last night, and more than likely we're going to see it on track today as we show you the Honda starting grid with not just the first row, the first 3 rows filled with Hondas.
Well, yeah, you got Colton Herta right there up in the front after that back-to-back pole positions. As you see, top 6, all Hondas, the first Chevys, all Team Penske in row 4, Power over McLaughlin, and then Rosenquist and Ericsson.
I'm looking for row 7. There was fireworks between these 2 guys. Rossi and Grosjean were teammates last year and absolutely going at each other's throats all race long right here at Mid-Ohio. They'll start side by side, row 7.
All the way at the bottom on row 14. Check out that, Connor Daly substituting for Simon Pagenaud after a massive crash yesterday. Did not get cleared by IndyCar Medical. Connor with an unexpected drive this weekend. He'll make the most of it. And Pato O'Ward, the championship contender on an annual basis, has some heavy lifting to do from back in the field.
Yeah, Pato O'Ward's going to be a lot of fun to watch, but he goes for it as the Honda Track Preview takes us around on board. The most experienced driver in this field, Helio Castro Neves, age 48. He just is coming up the front straightaway right here into turn 1. And James, some changes this year.
Some changes in turn 1. One of the fastest corners we've got here on the circuit. 130 mile an hour minimum speed, but you can see that change in color through turn 1. This was paved all the way to right there. You see that change back to lighter pavement. Going to be a big challenge for these drivers today.
Yeah, Helio's going to come through the keyhole here and onto the long back straightaway, and he'll head down to that turn 4 you see on the right-hand side. China Beach is where Simon Pagenaud went tumbling yesterday. Highest top speed on the track, 185 miles an hour. Heavy onto the brakes right here for turn 4.
Remember this section here on the track, Mid-Ohio has, I was about to say unique, but we saw it on the streets of Detroit, didn't we? So no longer unique. This is where the start is, the initial start. All the restarts happen on the finish line. Inside the Arrow McLaren of Pato O'Ward, let's have a listen to some pre-race pep talk. Here it is.
I don't have a lot for you, man. You know the plan here. Whatever happens today, we're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to go forward. We'll end this thing on a high note. Let's have ourselves a day.
I mean, they've got basically one hand to play here. You've got to do something different, Townsend. You've got to go off strategy. Look for this to be one of the few cars at the back that might try to risk that three-stopper, come in early, try to make something happen, get lucky with the yellow. But either way, they are definitely going to be moving forward.
Well, and you'll be watching for Pato O'Ward on the opening lap or two. They'll wonder how many positions can he get? How aggressive is he going to be? He's had some trouble this year, but up front, these two Americans, Diff, going to take it to green.
Great point, mate, because history is repeating. It's not the first time in IndyCar history that a Herta and a Rahal have been on the front row. It was their dads, Brian and Bobby, 25 years ago on the famed streets of Long Beach. And here are the two sons about to duke it out at Mid-Ohio, sharing the front row. How cool's that?
Colton wasn't even born yet. I think that's hilarious.
But Colton's known Graham his whole life, so how does that play out? How much etiquette takes place down into turn 4?
We're about to find out. The field is nicely packed and stacked. There's special starting spot to give them room to breathe and to go. It's a foreign feeling for Graham Rahal. He hasn't been on the front row in some 4 years. This is the Honda Indy 200 at Mid-Ohio. Great start, Colton Herta.
Colton Herta, great jump. Graham Rahal able to go in line with him, but on the outside there, Alex Palou trying to make a move. He's around Kyle Kirkwood, who's now coming back on the outside of 5.
Kirkwood to the outside. He'll have the advantage at the next apex. That pink AutoNation car forcefully holding on to third as Marcus Ericsson and Felix Rosenqvist come together.
The two Swedish drivers collide, and that is not a great opening lap here at Mid-Ohio for the Chip Ganassi racer and the McLaren man. Yellow is out.
Side by side through turn 9 as the yellow flag comes out. I'm not sure if, Felix is beached there. I think we saw Marcus able to carry on, but the number 6 NTT car, oh no, he did not make it. Both cars out on the spot.
Ericsson was also very aggressive on the start going into turn 4. He went upside Will Power and Scott McLaughlin.
It's something from Ericsson saying something about broken. Let's check the replay on the opening lap. Here's what went down, or went up.
Do you see Ericsson there on the inside of turn 6? Yeah, he was just wide. I mean, Felix gave him room, it looked like, on the inside, missed the apex a bit. You know what it's like down there, green racetrack. It's so easy to understeer. It's so hard to get the car turned back to the right, get down to that apex as you're going downhill. You see the contact sends the 8 up and over the 6.
Just simply a Swedish slam going on right here. Another shot of Ericsson. Yeah, he's just wide on turn-in. I just think he must have misjudged where he was relative to Rosenqvist, the gap. I mean, it was a car width, almost 2 car widths could be squeezed through here. On board now with Rosenqvist.
You're going to look to, there's Ericsson. Now watch to the right, keep watching to the right.
So Felix knows he's there. He gives him lots of room. You see, he's on the outside of Scott McLaughlin completely, more than a car width on the inside. So that's just a misjudgment from Ericsson, which I got to say, Townsend, that's a rare thing. You do not see mistakes like that out of Marcus Ericsson very often.
Not at all. And for Rosenqvist, just horrible luck. He's been driving very aggressively, but aggression was 0 part of that accident right there. He was trying to be conservative, frankly, leaving room. As you see some turf there, going for a ride along on the headrest inside the cockpit.
Last year he had bad luck here as well. It was an engine issue that put him out. He's been fast here. He almost won his first NTT IndyCar Series race here several years ago.
And even if Ericsson refires here, he's likely to get a drive-through penalty for avoidable contact, or certainly back of the grid, which is where he already is.
Huge championship implications for Marcus Ericsson. He was second coming into today. He won't stay there.
He certainly won't. He certainly will not.
Kevin Lee, tell us more.
And it's even worse than that. You just saw the AMAR safety crew member take a look at the right front. Marcus said, I think the right front is broken. I don't think we're going to be able to continue, or if we do, it's going to be after significant time to repair the car after we get it back.
I think the steering arm has failed because Ericsson just made a steering input and only the left tire moved.
It almost looked like they were having a conversation / debate. Marcus saying, fire me up, I can do it. The AMAR safety team saying, I'm not sure this car is safe enough to get back to the pits. Look at how towed out that is.
Well, I think he's holding left hand down, so the left side steering,
but at some point you got to turn. This is going to have to be very delicate.
He made it work there.
And the field is coming up on him. Colton Herta is in turn 6 right now. He's going to have to crawl around as Felix Rosenqvist rather gets back to the tail of the line there. And yeah, you can just see Felix. It's so tough. That corner, you get a bunch of understeer often on your own, and just with cold tires, full fuel, a damp racetrack.
And Diff, such another great example of the success of the aero screen.
Yep.
The left front of Marcus Ericsson would have been in the lap of Felix Rosenqvist 4 years ago. Watch this.
I mean, the floor would have been right at his head level. I mean, that's, you know, it's funny. It's because it's kind of a slower speed thing. You almost didn't really think about it, but seeing that angle there from Felix's onboard, absolutely the aero screen stopped what could have been a much, much worse situation.
Well done, Marcus Ericsson. He has limped around a good part of half a lap here at Mid-Ohio to make it back to pit road. He's gingerly making that last turn in before he climbs up. It's quite a steep uphill here on pit road at Mid-Ohio, but Marcus has made it back, but today is not going to be his day.
Now they'd have to replace both A-arms on the front, I believe, based on the damage that I've seen.
I can't help but think that Felix Rosenqvist is one of the least lucky drivers.
Yeah.
I mean, the number of races we've seen where he had a good thing going, and luck just does not fall his way.
And they're going to have to take it back to the garage. The repairs will be significant for the driver second in the championship.
Marcus trying to clear some of that smoke and fumes.
Asking for a fan.
Out of the cockpit.
Did you see the windscreen on Felix Rosenqvist's car is a giant tire mark across it?
There
Look
you
at
go.
that.
There
Wow.
you go.
Should be able to take care of that with a tear-off. Hopefully, might require 2. The aero screen has generally 8 to 10 tear-offs like you would normally see on a helmet back in the day. All of those are now on the windscreen. And I just wonder what the visibility is like, especially when Rosenqvist is turning right, like right here.
Look at the little triangular orange tab there you see on the side, just right near his head on either side. That's the quick grab and rip.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some contact with the aero screen before. I'm not sure we've ever seen something quite like that when a tire left a giant mark right in the driver's field of view.
And he's at the back, so no penalty once the pit's open. He could come in and probably consider taking fresh tires too, topping up with fuel and grabbing that tear off.
So he is tucked into the fuel, as are a few other drivers at the back. They're taking the opportunity here to come in and get a little extra fuel. Connor Daly, Benjamin Peterson following him in.
Field being led by longtime IndyCar driver Oriol Servia in the 2023 Honda Civic Type R. And this is a massive weekend. Obviously, it's the title of the event, the Honda Indy 200. But here in the state of Ohio, you've got a handful of manufacturing plants, the auto plants, transmission plants at Marysville, East Liberty, the Anna Engineering plant, Russell's Point, and hundreds of employees, associates, their families are here. You know, the family sacrifice so much in the motorsport world with family members, loved ones being away. So this is a fabulous family weekend and celebration, and so many Honda associates and team members here. So thanks so much. We'll see what kind of a day it is in this 2-engine manufacturer series, Honda versus Chevrolet. Let's check in with Dylan Welsh.
Well, Felix Rosenqvist was one of those cars that did come in and, as expected, changed tires, pulled a tear off, and the crew was just as amazed as we are at that tire mark on the tear off there as you see it pulled away. You also see a couple of the right side mirror missing, and the left side mirror is kind of knocked askew. They've got 2 backup mirrors on standby here on the pit box that I think they're going to just evaluate if they need to change or need to update based on what Felix thinks. But Hinch, to your point, Felix told me at the start of this weekend, there's always been something hindering our result this year. We just need to piece a weekend together. That's not how they wanted it to start.
All right, we're getting ready to go green out of the last turn. Here we go, and Kyle Kirkwood is sizing up. Look at that pink car. He's sizing up Graham Rahal through turn 1, the resurfaced turn 1, climbing the hill to the keyhole in turn 2. Colton Herta leads the field back to green.
And behind him, you see David Malukas looking down the back of, I believe that's Scott McLaughlin in that Good Rancher Chevy. Malukas has gotten ahead of Will Power as
And
one
that
of the
was
McLarens
Alexander
falling back.
Rossi getting wide. Romain Grosjean in that yellow and red DHL car makes the move, but now Rossi has a run, but Joseph Newgarden in the train looking to make it happen.
Check this out, could go 3 wide. Newgarden says, no way, I don't want any part of that. Rossi says, game on, and Grosjean holds the position.
Rossi and Grosjean on Mid-Ohio, we've seen this one before, Townsend.
Just a tiny little fade from Grosjean to make it harder on Rossi. What a move from Newgarden. No, he can't hold on.
It's just so little grip on the outside there, especially after the rain, but he's using those red sidewalled Firestones, a little softer, a little more grip compared to the primary black sidewall that Rossi's got. Trying to use that grip on the outside of 6, not quite enough.
That grip advantage will likely be mitigated at some point during this stint. We call it the crossover point, where the softer red tire starts to degrade and goes past the grip available from the harder black Firestone. We think that might happen around lap 15 to 20. We'll have to stay tuned and see where exactly it plays out.
A couple of Scots from New Zealand running together there. Scott Dixon in the orange and blue PNC Bank car, and there's the defending race winner, Scott McLaughlin, right behind him in the Good Ranchers Chevy for Team Penske. They're all excited about countryman Shane Van Gisbergen in the Grant Park 220, the NASCAR Cup Series race in Chicago this weekend. And look at this, Graham Rahal isn't just sitting in second, he's pressing for the lead.
Yeah, all these top 3 cars on the same tire compound right now. A little bit of a line variation down into the valley here as they come up and over a blind section. You really can't see the racetrack as you come up over the hill. And this is one of the trickiest corners on the track. Big step off at the exit and up through the gears. Super fast corner here. This left-hander, you'll pick up some aero push running in traffic. And for Graham Rahal, I can tell already he's got the best race car, both in qualifying and race trim, that he's had in a long time.
The 5th Third Bank Honda looking good in second. Kyle Kirkwood, championship leader Alex Palou, and then Rahal's teammate Christian Lundgaard. Let's talk more Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan with Dylan.
And they started on the alternate red tires, the softer tires, and their plan was be aggressive early. There's weather in the area, so if it does rain, they wanted to be able to take advantage of this increased lap time by using the reds early. So you see Graham pressuring Colton here. That's by design. They want to maximize these softer tires with more grip.
Meanwhile, back in the pack, Pato O'Ward is bulldozing his way through. Remember, he had to start in 25th position, so he has made his way up to 19th, so good, swift work.
Gonna have to defend here a little bit as Callum Ilott, Canapino's teammate, challenging, and Stingray Robb in that white, blue, and green Biohaven car gets past Ilott in the jumble.
I think you're seeing a lot of that discrepancy between the primaries and the alternates right now. A couple of drivers that have done well. I mean, Palou holding on to 4th place, being the #1 driver, the highest starting driver on those primaries. But then David Malukas, he's using to great effect the red sidewall tires to get up to 8th from his starting position of 11th.
And the car will be watching closely over the next 10 laps is the number 10 of Alex Palou. What kind of pace can he realize as the red tires fade? And he should be in an advantage position. But Palou will have to run the reds at some point.
McLaughlin just let the number 18 of David Malukas by. That was a pretty blatant move. I'm not sure if something came from race control, if it was maybe a block call.
There was a blocking penalty called on McLaughlin.
There you go. So I was just about to say, this is when Malukas really has...
Get back. 111 here. Fuel is not a problem, right?
Take a look back if at this McLaughlin blocking penalty you cannot move in reaction to. That was close.
That was marginal. I mean, I've seen more blatant ones not called, but
at least the penalty is mild.
Yes.
Just give up the spot, try again.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with that. It definitely looked like a reaction, but that was huge for David Malukas because with Scott on those slower primaries, he needed to get around and try to make up a little bit of time here.
Colton Herta in the Gamebridge Honda leads for Andretti Autosport. He led a lot at Road America 2 weeks ago. The wind didn't come his way. He's off to a great start today. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Honda, an official vehicle of the NTT IndyCar Series. Shell Renewable Race Fuel, powering progress at 225 miles per hour. And by NTT, official sponsor and technology partner of the NTT IndyCar Series. This is Mid-Ohio, the Honda Indy 200 here in Mid-Ohio. And racing at the front, Colton Herta over Graham Rahal and Kyle Kirkwood. Biggest mover in the pack has been Pato O'Ward, up 9 positions. And here he is, the arrow on board.
We just watched a really nice move on Marcus Armstrong coming out of turn 1 down into the keyhole. Was able to follow very closely through 1. Not an easy thing to do. And he's just picking them off right now. Next up in his sights is Ryan Hunter-Reay driving the number 20 BitNile.com Chevy, that gold and blue car. Here we are on board with him.
Hunter-Reay also on reds along with his teammate Rinus VeeKay.
Whoa, look at this, Graham Rahal throwing everything at Colton Herta for the lead of this race.
Where did that come from? I've been watching Colton Herta's pace. He's been losing 1 to 2 tenths of a second
Think about mix 1 here and use mix 3 if we can get him.
Per lap.
So there you go, you heard mix 1 here, mix 3 if we can get him. That tells you mix 3 is a full rich, full power mode on the steering wheel of Graham Rahal's Honda. And he is, I mean, that was good. He was the fastest car on track last time by. You love to see it, Townsend. You love to see him getting after it, trying to make that move happen.
Absolutely. There you see push to pass seconds remaining. Total of 200 available as Felix Rosenqvist trying to charge his way back forward, looking to make a move on Benjamin Peterson. Alex Palou hasn't touched the push to pass button yet, Diff.
Right at this corner here, as Rosenqvist squeezes it through, that's where he was a victim of a collision with Marcus Ericsson, who is out of this race. He's with Kevin Lee.
And first time outside of the top 10 this season for the runner-up of the Indy 500. What happened, Marcus?
Yeah, I haven't seen the replays yet, but I felt like did a good start, and then into 6 there, I just couldn't get the car stopped, and obviously ran into Felix. So yeah, I feel really bad for just understeering to Felix, and then get caught on his tires. So I feel really bad for ruining Felix's day. That was definitely not my intention, and obviously feel bad for the 8th crew. So yeah, very disappointing.
Work continues on pit lane, but it looks like they might be done for the day.
That would be the first DNF, the non-finish for Ericsson since Nashville last year. That is a very uncharacteristic thing for Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah, I feel like we were just talking about this earlier in the weekend, that he's been very consistent. We don't see a lot of mistakes, unforced errors out of Marcus Ericsson. We kind of could point back to Long Beach last year as the only one that really jumped to mind for me.
Thinking about the attempt Rahal made there on Colton Herta. I wonder if that sort of surprised Colton a bit. Like Colton's just sort of managing tire, managing pace, trying to settle in. And Graham with a bit more experience, and been a while since he's had a taste of the lead in an IndyCar race, and I think he just decided, I'm going to jump this kid and see if I can surprise him here.
Not only a little while since leading an IndyCar race, do you know the last time that he was on the podium in a road course was some 3 years ago at the Indy GP. Last time on the podium period was 2 years ago at Texas Motor Speedway. So that's a long time in IndyCar racing when you have 17 events a year. You're somebody as accomplished and a veteran like Graham Rahal. This drought's been a long one, Hinch.
It really has, but he's being very crafty. And kind of to your point, Townsend, sometimes if you're Colton Herta leading, you come out of turn 1, you take a quick look in your mirror and think, he's not that close. But I'll tell you, if he's not that close, but he thinks he can catch Colton sleeping by getting on his push to pass, and Colton doesn't react in time, that closing rate can happen real fast. And so maybe you're right, he was a little bit further back than a traditional attempt would come from.
Well, let's take a look.
Catch a driver sleeping.
We're going to go back on board with Graham Rahal a few laps ago when the attempt came on the way to the keyhole. Had a really good exit in turn 1, and just had a look.
It's definitely enough to get Colton Herta's attention.
Yeah, just letting him know he's there. And if you just think back to the Indy 500 and the utter devastation, the frustration from Graham Rahal to not qualify for the race, and then have the issue with Stefan Wilson to get back in the race but not competitively. Imagine what he's feeling right now. It's just the other end of the spectrum. It's big eyes, it's hunger, his home track. He grew up at this place. He knows this track better than any other racetrack in the world. So many of the fans have turned out to cheer on Graham Rahal, and he must be feeling really excited about his chances today. It could very well come down to a battle in pit lane.
Saw Dad, his famous father Bobby, earlier today, had a big smile on his face. There's been a huge shift in momentum and outlook and motivation at Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. Let's talk about the race leader, though, with Kevin Lee. Kevin, tell us more about Colton Herta.
Well, we saw that moment where Rahal almost got close enough to overtake him. Let's listen into some conversation on the 26 radio a moment ago.
Starting to feel a little bit of drop off of the tires. Copy, 13 complete, +1 to the rear. Keep doing what you're doing. You can save the tires.
Thank you, Marcus.
This team is so anxious to convert. They've been fast all season. Rob Edwards, the strategist CEO you just heard, just said, we need to be consistent. We need to execute today to bring one home.
You know, I spoke to Colton as we see some action further back. That side-by-side, Joseph Newgarden on the inside, Pato O'Ward trying to continue his charge up the field, trying to make it work on the outside of the keyhole. That's a tough one to pull off.
Oh, here we go.
Series champion, and side-by-side for third, Kyle Kirkwood in.
Look at that. Alex Palou, championship leader, and Kyle Kirkwood defends from the championship points leader.
We are at the crossover point on the tires. Alex Palou on the harder black compound, Kyle Kirkwood on the softer tire. Kirkwood has had the advantage, but no longer. Remember, he's teammates to Colton Herta, so if Colton is feeling the fall off on his reds, so is Kyle Kirkwood most likely, and Alex Palou knows this is the time to press.
That bright green car in the background is Christian Lundgaard, runs in a really nice fifth ahead of Scott Dixon. There's been a change within the top three. Very hard fight between this man here, Kyle Kirkwood, in the Auto Nation Honda for Andretti Autosport, and the points leader, Alex Palou. Down the back straight into turn 4. Let's show you again. Palou on the right in the blue and white American Legion machine. Watch Kirkwood on the inside.
Tough to tell from this angle how much room Alex Palou gave Kyle Kirkwood. It didn't look like a lot when we saw it live just a few minutes ago. Kyle Kirkwood's been hanging on to the back of his race car. Here's on board with Kirkwood. Just enough. Left him just enough room, but Kyle had to run the apex curb higher and harder than he normally would, and I think that contributed to turning around the Auto Nation car.
Yeah, that one's right on the limit. I mean, Palou had a half a car length on him. He had the line for 5. You would have thought as a championship leader, maybe you leave him a bit more room, but ultimately there was just a car width there.
One thing we didn't hear on the radio was Kirkwood complaining.
That's so true.
He stayed focused. He's given feedback to his team. Head down. Just focus on getting to the end of this thing and regathering yourself.
That was Rinus VeeKay who dove for pit lane. By the way, Alex Palou has set about the 2 up front because he has just run a considerably quicker lap, almost a full second faster than Graham Rahal. So Palou is out after these 2 guys. There you see him in the background. Here he comes.
And this is all that we talked about, the crossover point. Those primaries really coming alive as those alternates are starting to struggle. I spoke to Colton Herta yesterday. He said, look, we've not been good on the reds. That's part of the reason we went to the primaries in the Firestone Fast 6 to go for pole. So they just need to survive this first stint. And the driver of the 26 is very confident once they get primaries on, they can be back in control. It's Grosjean sliding coming off a 5.
Red, black, and white car is Jack Harvey, the Permco Honda for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. Now pressuring Jack Harvey, pressuring Kyle Kirkwood while defending from Romain Grosjean. Let's go for a ride on the Auto Nation on board.
There goes Kirkwood. Bailing out, diving for pit lane, so he's in the window to make it on one more stop after this one. Almost certainly he'll be putting the harder black tire on.
Coming your way, Kevin Lee.
And after the spin, that's what Brian Herta asked. Can you stay out 2 more? Because that's it. Everybody wanted to get to at least 20, 22 to be safe. Pato O'Ward came in 3 laps ago. He's going to have to super save. He may just be hoping for a caution. Otherwise, it's going to be a 3-stopper for O'Ward.
And it could happen. I mean, it's very possible, and this is kind of the phase of the race where you're likely to see it as we see O'Ward stream around the outside there of Kyle Kirkwood.
That's pretty impressive when you consider that Kirkwood had the spin but rejoined in 9th at O'Ward. They both have done pit stops, and so on a straight-up green flag battle, Pato O'Ward has gotten ahead of Kyle Kirkwood.
It has been an amazing opening stanza for Pato O'Ward in the Arrow McLaren Chevy. Colton Herta led 33 laps 2 weeks ago at Road America. He's already led 22 as of now. What a perfect start to the race. He's had a little bit of pressure on occasion from Graham Rahal. Now Rahal's going to feel pressure from Alex Palou of Chip Ganassi Racing.
And I'm surprised, James, that I haven't seen more pace out of Palou at this crossover phase on the tire, because Colton Herta, it's almost like the Reds have stabilized a bit. So I bet there's going to be a debate. Is this a black race to the finish or a red race?
I mean, he was 0.8 quicker on that lap, but we see Joseph Newgarden in the pits, Kev.
Joseph Newgarden, who has won this race before, he's coming in to make his first stop. This is in the window to get it done. And one more, you see the big turn of front wing there, and Shell Fuel, Firestones, and Newgarden back out. All Also behind him is Ryan Hunter-Reay exiting pit lane.
One of the big things you want when you come out of pit lane is a couple laps of clean air. If you can get that clean running, it makes a huge difference during this whole pit sequence. Hunter-Reay there coming out behind a couple cars. They're going to pull away in these first few corners as he gets some temperature in those Firestones and hopefully some clear laps, lay down some quick ones as we get into this pit cycle.
One of those cars was his teammate in the other Bitnall Chevy. That's Rinus VeeKay. So Herta, Rahal, Palou, Lundgaard, Dixon, that hasn't changed. Here is Connor Daly running in the second Meyer-Shank Honda, the Sirius XM Auto Nation machine, filling in for Simon Pagenaud. It's the first time ever in Simon Pagenaud's career he's been forced to miss an IndyCar race. He's done more than 200 IndyCar races in his career. Today, he was denied that by not being passed by IndyCar Medical after yesterday's big crash. Dylan Welsh.
Romain Grosjean at the top of your screen, and they took the red tires off. Grosjean did a nice job to pick up a few spots on those softer tires, made a front wing change, and Firestone primaries on Kevin.
And Alexander Rossi gets out right in front of him with a better pit location, and Rossi is back out pitting from 11th.
Joseph Newgarden now trying to get around the slow starting. Oh, Romain Grosjean, his teammate Kyle Kirkwood trying to go through as well. It's so hard, Townsend, as a driver coming out of the pits on cold tires. You're trying to defend, but you can only do so much.
And Grosjean got a tough lesson on that last year, wheel banging with Alexander Rossi and forced off the track. Meanwhile, Newgarden charging into turn 4.
Check this out. Deep, they're close. Alexander Rossi and Joseph Newgarden, and Rossi left nothing there for Newgarden. And here comes Kirkwood putting the pressure on the PPG Chevy.
Watch Kirkwood try to cross it up here and go inside Newgarden up and over the hill. I don't think he's going to have enough to get the advantage. He's going to have to back out. You really can't go too wide right here.
Wider curbs, driver's left. Check it out here. Yellow and red lines there. Coming out over turn 9 through Thunder Valley. That is Jack Harvey being serviced and sent. Been a promising start to this race for Harvey.
And every lap that those leaders can stay out, I'm looking at 1 through 6, 1 through 7, 1 through 9 really, 10 even. If they can stay out, the longer they can do that, the more they're helping themselves later in this race.
And I'm struggling to figure out, do you want a red tire for the next two? Well, you can if you started on reds, but what's the preferred tire to finish this race? I mean, Colton Herta, again, the pace has stabilized a bit, and Alex Palou is just not aggressing on Graham Rahal like I expected on the black tire advantage.
I think you have to go to whatever tire you didn't start on now just to get a sense of which one's which and then know what you want to run in that final stint. So if you started primary, you're going alternates, vice versa. But it's just a really good job by these top two right now to make these reds last. Like you say, Palou caught up, but not really able to attack and get stuck into that fight.
One thing's for sure, for Graham Rahal, he has a race car today that's as good as Andretti and Ganassi behind him.
No, I could maybe do one more. Pit option, pit option.
Pit option, does that mean driver option to come in? If I'm hearing the anxiety from Colton's voice like that and I'm Rob Edwards, I'd say pit now, we're in the window, we're fine.
Safely in the window to do it from here on one more stop with minimal fuel savings. So if you're struggling, I mean, Graham's not at attacking distance quite yet. I mean, he's right there.
I think they should bring Colton in right now, put the black tires on.
Your call.
One more if you can. Your call. How much anxiety is there within the Andretti Autosport camp based on Road America 2 weeks ago?
Keep in mind, this is Colton Herta's third strategist of the season. So for Rob Edwards, he's trying to get a read on switching over to this team as a strategist. How much is your driver struggling right now? He put it in Colton's hands. Colton made the call. I'll stay out for one more lap.
I love the trust here, guys. That's so great. Colton said, hey, I think we need to come in soon. Rob said, one more if we can, your call. He came out at turn 9, looked at his mirror, said, okay, we've got a half second, 6/10 to Graham.
Let's do another one.
We can do one more if that's going to help me later in the race.
Lights it up off turn 2. And David Malukas, after a really promising start, is in.
Malukas is in. They took the red tires off. Primary tires going on for Malukas. And again, expect the leaders in here in a couple laps. Rahal is ready to get the red tires off.
What a relief for David Malukas. This is the race he's been waiting for pretty much all season long.
I was waiting until 9 to cut in.
All right, pitting this time is the race leader, the Gainbridge Honda of Colton Herta.
And remember, guys, Alex Palou still has to run a stint on those reds. So if they are a struggle, he may have closed that gap, but it might open back up once these two leaders get on the primaries.
But cut. Alex Palou is doing the distance so he can shorten his red stint.
And now he's going to want to go, go, go. Graham Rahal stays out. This is where the overcut, undercut comes into play, guys.
This is not good for Palou. Palou would have loved if Graham Rahal followed Colton Herta, but Graham stays out. Palou's stuck in dirty air. He might be faster, but tough to get by at Mid-Ohio.
Whose call is going to be better, Andretti Autosports or Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan?
And they made a change on who makes those calls. Rob Edwards, as you mentioned, the third different strategist. He told me, we just want to experiment. We didn't want to try things. We have 4 poles as a team and only 1 win. Now it's 5 poles, and Colton Herta trying to convert that today.
I think we're hearing box call for Graham Rahal there. We'll see if he comes in. But for Alex Palou, he's not able to get the pace of clean air with Graham Rahal up front.
So Graham Rahal staying out an extra lap. He's going to be all over that push-to-pass button, trying to make this in-lap as fast as possible, trying to close that half-second gap he had to Colton Herta. Likewise, Colton now has to be on the button, getting up to speed as quickly as possible. The overcut staying out a lap longer, trying to utilize those hot tires. The undercut trying to get into the pits, get those fresh tires on. And we're going to see in about 30 seconds here which one's the right call as Palou stays out. Now he needs to put the hammer down, try to get those clean laps on the primaries.
Dylan, the Team RLL guys haven't been put under this much pressure in a while. Here we go.
That's right, big stop here. Rahal's been much happier this weekend on the reds than the blacks, so really wanted to take advantage of that outlap to try and build as much gap as possible. Reds are off, sticker primary Firestone's on for Rahal, waiting on the fuel. We'll see where he lands.
How refreshing this must be for Graham Rahal, racing at the front of an IndyCar field. Where does he come out in comparison to Colton Herta?
Right now, you'll be racing him to the keyhole.
The words from Rob Edwards, you're going to be racing him to the keyhole. That race is on.
Graham's not going to be able to defend Colton Herta on hot tires as he goes sailing by.
Under brakes, does Rahal switch back? He can't.
Look at
cold tires.
Look at how far up the road Pato O'Ward has gotten there. That is amazing. O'Ward right there with Rahal.
Think about it. They've all made one stop now and essentially passing for second here.
Wonder if O'Ward's saving any fuel. Right now he's saving nothing. He wants second place.
Rahal's like, where did you come from? 25th, says Pato O'Ward.
But if I'm on the radio to Graham Rahal, I'm saying, look, without a yellow, Pato's not in this race. You're not racing him. You're racing Colton Herta in front. Just let him go, get up to speed, put in the laps. The gap ends up about the same as the leader is in. Alex Palou down to Kevin.
And he's going to go to the red sidewall, the alternates. He's got to go around Christian Lundgaard's tires. He's coming in from second this lap. The driver is dominant as we've seen in a while. Last 4 races, nobody's been better. 3 wins. Alex Palou is back out. Let's see how much time he made up in that in-lap.
Boy, that fueler didn't have to fill as much as I thought. Palou is out and to the front easily.
That was a 2-second faster stop than what Graham Rahal had on the 15. Here comes Colton Herta at pace. He's got to get around Christian Lundgaard, who's also jumped the 26.
So that tells me that the reason Palou wasn't pressing that hard is he was saving fuel following Graham Rahal earlier to shorten the pit stop.
A little bit wide from Christian Lundgaard. Now a drag race down to turn 4. Colton Herta easily ahead. Pato O'Ward's going to be on the button, trying to get around the RLL driver as well.
And Lundgaard has been able to leapfrog his teammate. Here comes Pato O'Ward diving to the inside.
Decisive swerve from the young Mexican driver, and it's clear he is on a full press. If there's not a caution, they'll have to make 2 more stops to get to the end.
But you got to give him credit for the moves he's pulling off on track. We saw pace on him as we see Scott Dixon, Dylan, down in pit lane.
That's right, Scott Dixon in. He was the leader. They're going to go off of the alternate tires and put the reds on. Scott asked for a turn of front wing. They'll need a big outlap here from Dixon.
There goes Will Power in the Verizon Chevy. Look at this mad scramble here. How does Dixon cycle out? Where does he cycle out in comparison to his teammate Alex Palou? Here we go.
Check out another guy that's been saving fuel. Scott Dixon is going to exit pit lane just ahead of Colton Herta. I don't know if he'll be able to hold him off, but Dixon and Power have position right now.
This is Power to Chip Ganassi Racing. How about that for a pit stop cycle?
So Power's going to give Colton Herta a little bit of a hard time in keyhole, but I don't think Dixon has tire temperature yet.
Back straight drag race. If he goes to the inside, Herta will swoop around the outside, and that's what's happening.
This is tough. You can pull it off on the outside here. It is banked. He's got a nice car length advantage. Easily done. Colton Herta had to make those moves happen.
What a handy bit of strategy from Chip Ganassi Racing and Team Penske to save the gas on the opening stint for this potential overcut opportunity and shortening the refuel time on pit lane.
So, it If you're wondering how Alex Palou has been so dominant this season, you're looking at it now. What a move. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by the new movie Gran Turismo, exclusively in movie theaters August 11th. Hy-Vee, this racing season, helped Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. And by Liberty Mutual Insurance. Only pay for what you need. Great to have you with us on this 4th of July holiday weekend. Lee Diffie along with Townsend Bell and James Hinchcliffe, Dylan Walsh and Kevin Lee. This is the Honda Indy 200 here at Mid-Ohio. Clear Fork Reservoir in the background there. This beautiful plot of land that has facilitated so many great races over the years. This is IndyCar race number 40, believe it or not, here at Mid-Ohio. And it's being led by the championship points leader, Alex Palou. He's won 3 of the last 4 races and well and truly in control. 5.5 seconds in the lead and has a whopping points lead. Can anybody stop Palou this year?
Well, most importantly, I think the play of running long there on the blacks on the first stint. He only needs to do about another 16, 17 laps on the reds here. He can make his final stop, go back to the harder black tire, and cruise along. That assumes no weather, that assumes no yellow, and assumptions are dangerous if you watch Bad News Bears.
They certainly are, but I mean, that's about the crossover point where we saw the Reds start to fall apart, so they've definitely put themselves in a very good position. Another guy running a good position right now, Graham Rahal, and our Dylan has a little bit more on the 15.
Yeah, so of course they pitted when they were running up front around Colton Herta and Alex Palou. They ride 7th right now. On their pit stop, it sounds like there was maybe a little bit of an issue on the fuel plug-in, so we'll watch a replay of that here. He hits his marks, and you can see he had to re-engage a couple times, so that cost him a couple seconds as they had to wait on the fuel at the end, and as a result, Graham's falling down to 7th.
Time that is so difficult to make up on the racetrack can be lost so quickly in pit lane. But look, this has been a positive day for Rahal, Letterman, Lanningham. This is awesome to see 2 of the 3 cars running at the front, Christian Lundgaard and Graham Rahal. Currently 6th and 7th on track. Jack Harvey running in 13th. They'll take that. This has been a really positive turn at such a special place to the Rahal family name. How about this man, big mover in the pack, Pato O'Ward on a very different strategy, Kevin Lee. Had to start 25th after spinning and losing it in qualifying, but he's made his way through very effectively.
And he's done it by passing cars, then coming in and getting clean track and running fast laps. Let's listen to the game plan on the radio.
Great job, dude. Just keep making hay. If you can pass, make a pass. Otherwise, let's conserve overtake.
That's Will Anderson, his engineer, who works on strategy as well. We wondered, could they do it, somehow save enough fuel? No, they're going to have to come in about 9 laps, but he's still saving a little bit because I don't think he can move any far forward. Just in case a caution comes out and it's a short caution, maybe they can get it done on 1 more. If not, no chance. They have to make an extra stop.
And you had to do it. You had to roll the dice like that.
But you know what? If you can get to 48, and you got track position, you can save mad fuel around here. Scott Dixon's shown it for so many years. Yeah. That would be 32 laps for the finish to O'Ward. 1 yellow, and he's golden.
Now just keep doing what you're doing with those lap times. Hopefully we cycle ahead of him here.
Again, O'Ward has come from 25th to 4th, but is on a different strategy than the others. He last pitted on lap 17. Those around him were in the high 20s, and even lap 30 for Scott Dixon and Will Power. There was a close call for his teammate. Watch this.
Oh, whoa. Felix Rosenqvist with a huge front axle lockup. Cold tires straight out of pit lane.
There's Jack Harvey up ahead.
Full fuel, cold tires. Now he's got 0 downforce on the car. As soon as Jack Harvey faded back, driver's left in front of Felix, it just took all the air, all the downforce off that front wing, making it so much more likely to lock those tires. It was a good move from Felix to get that thing slowed down.
Yeah, probably worthy of a conversation with Jack Harvey and just saying, hey, you're putting yourself at a huge risk to cut across my bow and
you were going by
jet wash proverbially.
Check out some Firestone telemetry as Harvey comes through this new portion of asphalt, 130 miles an hour plus through turn 1, climbing the hill. Have a look at some figures. Even watch it down the backstretch here. This off camber, crazy challenging turn 2. Opens up the throttle. Here we go. Look at those numbers.
Uphill going into the keyhole, downhill mid-corner coming out. A little bit of the kink here in the back straight, 170 miles an hour, still climbing, 180 miles an hour, just over before he throws the anchors out for turn 4. And this is such a fun bit of racetrack, guys. This roller coaster section, combined corners, right, left, all the way through to turn 9. Very challenging.
Always love this section. Up out of Thunder Valley as you dive down into the brake zone for turn 9. And this is like motocross style, a little step off at the exit in an Indy car, about 120 miles an hour as the back wants to kick out. And you're struggling with your eyes trying to figure out exactly where the racetrack is when you land.
Speaking of that, Pro Motocross, part of the inaugural season of Super Motocross World Championship. You notice Jet Lawrence continuing his dominant run in the 450 class, undefeated this year.
How about Danger Boy?
Yeah, winning for the first time in the 250s as well. Hayden Deegan winning the outdoor overall in 250. Let's take a look at some pit stop differential numbers powered by NTT.
Great little bit of information here from NTT. You see Alex Palou there. That pit-in lap, when he got that clean air, once Colton Herta and Graham Rahal came in, he used those primaries to good effect, 1.4 seconds faster, but we saw him have to drive around Christian Lundgaard's setup pit and pit lane. That cost him some time getting in the box.
Look at the difference, though, on the out lap. What's that down to? Probably tire compound. Palou on the softer red tire, it comes in so much quicker as Colton struggled on the harder black tire with overcast conditions, track just 90 degrees track temperature.
Yeah, if you're going to do the overcut, it's great going from the primary to the alternate. It's much harder to do it the other way around, and ultimately big advantage to the number 10 team.
So the difference between first Alex Palou and second Colton Herta is 8.3 seconds. But the Andretti Autosport team have some words for Colton. Have a listen.
I mean, it doesn't matter if we go a lap longer than him at this point if he's just going to fly away.
Copy that, except we think the Reds will tail off like yours did. He'll come back to you.
At the halfway point of this race, 40 down, 40 to go. And Rob Edwards, the COO of Andretti Autosport, just saying, hey, he's on those softer compound Firestone Reds. They'll drop off. He will come back to you. Won't always be 8.2 seconds.
That assumes that Alex Palou is showing us everything he's got, and I promise you, he's not. He is managing those red tires on this stint. He knows he has a nice gap.
Because why? What do you call him? The professor of
precision. He is a surgeon out there as he surgically examines Benjamin Peterson, waiting for his chance to make a move.
I'd like to remind you that you have a chance to drive away with a new Corvette, courtesy of Hy-Vee and Gatorade. All season long, you can enter for a chance to win one of 4 Corvettes by simply grabbing your mobile device and scanning the QR code that you see on your screen now. Why not? Get amongst it, and good luck. One of 4 Corvettes could be yours. You're watching the Honda Indy 200 here at Mid-Ohio on your home of motorsports, NBC Sports, and this is race leader Alex Palou in the American Legion car. Now his lead has come down some 2 seconds from 8.4 to 6.4. Now the traffic of Benjamin Peterson could have a little bit to do with that. Scott Dixon runs in third behind Colton Herta, and Pato O'Ward and Will Power in the top 5.
And this is a double win for Colton Herta, seeing Alex Palou struggle in dirty air, because in that dirty air, not only is he going slower, he's having to work those Firestone tires harder. As Palou, we knew this was, as Pato, we knew this was coming down into pit lane.
Yeah, that full push strategy has him coming in with 36 laps to go, Kevin, and barring massive yellow, he'll still have to make one more stop.
Yeah, he's going to have to make up 5 or 6 laps short of everyone else. He has the option of going to the alternates, tells us what someone thinks is the proper tire. This is also going to be a potentially long stint, so he's going to primary Firestones along with Shell Fuel.
All right, so keep on digging. Pato O'Ward in the Arrow McLaren Chevy. Comes out behind Joseph Newgarden.
That's still pretty solid, because now all those cars still have to make one more stop. So given where O'Ward started at the back, he's legitimately up to 14th behind Newgarden. He can run a short stint here, go to Reds, and try to make some more magic happen. O'Ward's still on pace potentially for a top 10.
And guess what? At points as they run, he's still in the top 5 in championship points. We're only at the halfway mark of this championship, so keep digging. It's tough. Hey, speaking of tough, Pallot's lead has come down 3 seconds now, Kevin Lee.
So Townsend just asked me a moment ago, is Palou complaining at all about Benjamin Peterson in front of him? Right after that, Townsend, yes, I think he was. Let's listen.
Use your head when you get to Peterson. Everything looks good. Just past halfway.
This is a joke. He's blocking me.
All right, I'll send it in.
And I later heard him say he tried to push me off.
Well, Peterson's legitimately on the lead lap. If the yellow were to come out, Peterson would go right back. You know, all that gap to the leader would essentially eliminate as Peterson would go to the tail end of the lead lap for a restart.
Tires off.
It's just killing the lap time of the number 10. Let's take a look here. Last 3 laps, 10.10.4 to a 109.5.
Control monitoring.
10.2 to a 9.5, 10.6 to a 9.7. Let's just see how much time is bleeding away, as well as punishing those alternate tires. So this is really starting to flow back towards Colton Herta in the 26 Gamebridge car.
So hard to keep your head in this moment because Palou knows he needs another 3 to 4 laps before he's comfortably into the window to make his last stop. Looking at push to pass, Palou's down to 103 seconds remaining, so he has used about 30 seconds while following Benjamin Peterson, as it looks like the Husky Chocolates crew, the Ice Spritz crew, is going to bring the car of Marcus Ericsson back to pit lane and send him back out.
It won't be a DNF. We told you that earlier, so good work by the Chip Ganassi squad. Meanwhile, his teammate, Alex Palou, has seen his lead go from 8.4 seconds to 4.8. And that is infuriating the Spaniard because he knows that Colton Herta is getting closer and closer with every lap that goes by. Wait for it, cresting the hill. Here's the Gamebridge Honda. Herta led 26 laps earlier to open up this race. Palou's led 16.
What tire all of these drivers in the top 5 will elect to use for the finish. They've all satisfied, I believe, their tire requirement.
There's one driver that has not. Alexander Rossi has gone black. He has not yet used his sticker alternates, the red sidewall tires. Oh, and I take that back. He's on them now.
Well, that's interesting
that must
because
have been...
our data shows them on blacks, Kevin, so that's a data error. What can you tell us about Rossi?
So Rossi is strongly thinking about using the alternates, and I think he has the choice because Brian Barnhart keeps talking about what do you want to do, and then reminding him, all right, if you want to do the reds, you got to go 29 laps. That's going to be somewhat difficult. I think he's the only one up front that has that option.
Yeah, apologies on that misspeak. Our data was reading incorrectly, as you see there on the pylon. Now back to reds for Rossi.
Currently running in 8th position behind Scott McLaughlin, ahead of David Malukas. That lead has come down another half second. 4.3 now, Alex Palou over Colton Herta. As we're into the second half of the Honda Indy 200. Racing into the second half of the Honda Indy 200 here at Mid-Ohio, and you're looking at that yellow and black machine. That's the Gamebridge Honda of Colton Herta. Second place, he's 4.3 seconds behind Alex Palou, and then behind him is Scott Dixon in the PNC Bank Honda. I want to talk about Chip Ganassi Racing because we showed you Marcus Ericsson and the crew getting the Husky Ice Spritz machine ready to come back out on track. Race Control has just thrown a bit of salt in those wounds and said when you do get out there, you've got to stop and hold. 45-second penalty for avoidable contact on lap 1 with his countryman, Felix Rosenquist.
Meanwhile, during the break, Alex Palou getting by Benjamin Peterson, but it didn't come easy. Peterson making it really hard for race leader Palou to find an opportunity. Swerving down the track was Peterson. Palou finally had enough in that last lap. Alex Palou, a 1:10.1, almost 2 seconds faster than Benjamin Peterson. That's what he was losing. And look at, I'm shocked at how aggressively Peterson decided to kind of plant his flag here at Mid-Ohio in this moment on championship leader Alex Palou.
Yeah, it was a huge defense into turn 4, side by side through 5 and 6. Really not making any friends here. It's well within his rights to fight, but at some point, you know, you're running 24th. You got the leader behind you for 10 laps. You got to be smart about it and make sure you preserve some of your credit within the paddock there.
So with 50 down and 30 laps to go, fellas, let's have a look at the NTT pit stop prediction, powered by NTT.
So there you go. You see with Palou able to run about 2 laps longer than Herta, his window shows, appropriately so. Dixon going that one lap further still, the master of saving fuel. So it gives everybody about that 2-lap window coming up based on their last stop. Some great information there from NTT.
Looking out the back of the Permco onboard at Newgarden and Pato O'Ward is O'Ward's teammate Alexander Rossi pits with 29 to go for the last time. Kev?
And they were debating whether he wanted the alternate, softer Firestones, which he's on right now, and they changed their mind. They're going back to primaries because this is a longer final stint for Alexander Rossi.
A little bit of a struggle there on the left front. Is Jack Harvey also down and away?
I think it just got sorted before the fuel was finished, so hopefully not a massive time loss there for Rossi. But yeah, I think given the length of this stint, the primaries make the most sense.
Somebody who's done a nice job today is Devlin DiFrancesco. Made up a lot of positions. He pitted on lap 28, but he's in the same zip code as Marcus Armstrong and several ahead of him like Graham Rahal and Scott McLaughlin. Here he is in the EVTEC Honda. So good going by the Canadian.
Yeah, running ahead of Joseph Newgarden right now in the top 10. Great run right now for him. 14 places up from where he started all the way back in 24th was where he found himself yesterday. But look at how much Dixon has closed the gap, Townsend, to Colton Herta.
Impressively on the softer red tire too, as Herta should have the advantage at this point in the stint. Now all the cars at the front are in the window to pit for the final time. You got to start to think about danger zone in these moments as Newgarden coming in.
And I'm Colton Herta. I'm looking at Benjamin Peterson. I'm knowing how tough it was for Palou to get around him. Maybe it's better to duck in now and get out of the way into some clean air. Kevin.
It's a little bit of surprise that it hasn't gone better this weekend for Joseph Newgarden, but he could not advance in qualifying. He makes his last stop just a little bit beyond mid-pack, and he's back out for his final stint. Kyle Kirkwood also, who was a factor early, but had that off, also stopping for the last time.
So we start to get our tire answer as those last 3 cars, Kirkwood and Rossi and Newgarden, all taking the black harder Firestone to make it to the end.
Will Power is quietly hovering there in 4th place in the Verizon Chevy. He's done a nice job. He was on that first stop sequence as well. So he's flying the flag for Team Penske, highest place Team Penske car. Look at Palou trying to clear Kyle Kirkwood here.
Kyle Kirkwood trying to help out his teammate Colton Herta by holding up race leader Alex Palou. And I think if I'm Barry Wanzer watching my driver Palou right now approaching more slow cars, you gotta think you're coming to the box. Stay out of this trouble. Got a nice lead. Let's get the final stop and make sure we are not caught out by traffic or an untimely yellow.
The other problem is with about 26 seconds lost on pit lane, that would bring him right out behind probably Devlin DiFrancesco and a train of cars. So that's another thing you got to take into consideration.
Yeah, but not for long because DiFrancesco will have to pit very soon as well. There it is.
That was Alex Palou saying pit. And it's Barry Wanzer, and here he comes. Race leader is in for what should be the last stop of this race, the Honda Indy 200. Kevin Lee, the championship leaders coming your way.
And there was almost an obstacle. Marcus Ericsson and his crew was getting set to push that car back to the garage. They just went back to see if the car was repaired properly. Barry Wanzer was waving the team, get back out of the way. They did. Clean, easy stop for a driver trying to make it 4 wins in the last 5. When's the last time we saw a run like this? Palou with a chance to finish it off. He's out. Scott Dixon also making his final stop.
Mr. Mid-Ohio, who has to come all the way from the other end of pit lane. He's in the very first pit box on pit lane entry. Mr. Mid-Ohio has a shot of standing on the podium here today.
There's what you talked about, James Palou coming out behind DiFrancesco, but luckily DiFrancesco has been fast. His tires are hot. Palou still needs to get temperature, as does teammate Scott Dixon. But did you see the body language, guys, on the crew for the number 10?
Oh, yeah.
It's like a holiday out there going for 3 in a row. Absolutely no urgency, totally under control. Meanwhile, Romain Grosjean in the number 28 DHL car. Nice clean stop for the last one of the day.
Is the 06 Avelio Castro Neves, multi-time winner here in IndyCar competition at Mid-Ohio. Grosjean in the DHL Honda, he's sent for the final time. Jack Harvey just whips on by, so too does Rinus VeeKay. Here is Colton Herta.
Oh!
Now what we're going to watch here is where does Herta come out in relation to Scott Dixon? Because last time the two of them were on track, they were right together.
Herta almost lost it, Kevin, on pit entry. Maybe a little bit of a wet spot there.
So that gap that, because of traffic, got back down to 3.5 seconds, was back up to 8 before Palou pitted. So it would take a massive in lap and a difficult in lap for Palou to make up this time. Primary Firestone, Shell Fuel, Colton Herta started on pole, trying to get his first win. Did he make up any time?
Here comes Scott Dixon. He'll be battling with Dixon as he comes up to the hill to the keyhole along with Christian Lundgaard.
Dixon at speed, the others building their speed. Dixon gets Lundgaard off his list straight away. But Herta has an advantage, so this might be a back straight duel down into turn 4. This is going to be epic.
Not for long. Those cold Firestones are tough to handle on the outlap. Dixon with the advantage. Both drivers will be on push to pass.
Herta's going to fight hard here, Hinch.
He's only got a 1 lap advantage heat-wise.
Penalty there. You got to drive through this time.
Oh,
Colton
Herta.
through this time.
We saw
Yeah, the pit lane speed bust didn't work.
It's
Didn't
gone
touch it.
again. The chance of victory has gone again for Colton Herta. 2 races in succession. He started on the pole 2 races in a row. And the win is going to elude him again.
I just wonder in that big sideways moment entering pit lane if Colton was struggling to get his thumb as he was controlling his race car to hit the button as Will Power, Dylan, on pit lane.
They're off the reds onto the sticker primaries for the final time. Ron Rizzucci, the strategist, said, push hard here on push to pass. We need a big in lap and a big out lap too.
Here comes Herta to serve his penalty. And it was right here that caused the penalty.
It sort of makes sense because we saw him have that big crossed-up moment. That was after where the pit lane pylons are. Let's take a look at it, Townsend.
That's Benjamin Peterson up front, so this is Colton's first pit lane entrance. Oh, he got his thumb there. Oh, he turned it. That's
No,
weird.
he got his thumb there, but the lights didn't come on. Maybe he didn't push it enough. Maybe it didn't activate for some reason, but now he comes out right ahead.
It seems like he had a definitive button push to activate pit speed control.
13th place, he comes out in Hinch. 14th, actually 13th now. Let's talk more about it with Kevin Lee.
Well, this is at least the 3rd year in a row that they've had a fast car and are not going to get a result. 2 years ago, he started second, was second until the first stop when they had a 25-second stop with a fuel probe issue and then had more issues later on in the race. And then last year, there was more difficulty as well when he missed the code to be able to pit. So another issue for the 2016, Dylan.
Graham Rahal in. They went to, oh, he stalled. It went to slightly scuffed blacks, but it's not going to matter because Rahal stalls leaving. Actually was waiting on the left rear. You see it there. That's going to cost Rahal some more time.
Total disaster for the front row to start this race. Rahal and Herta both with huge issues on their final stop under green flag conditions. It is a tough, tough pill to swallow.
Oh, and you can see Graham in the cockpit, flicked his visor, was just furious. A day that started with so much promise has evaporated.
That'll put Graham back to 7th and maybe 8th here as Maluka shouldn't have trouble getting by unless he has to check up at the exit, which he does.
There's a lot of interest with the young driver from Chicago, David Malukas. Where is he going to be next year? Will it be at Dale Coyne or will it be with one of the larger racing organizations? Under brakes, turn 4. Rahal doesn't really have any say in that as Malukas sweeps around the outside.
So Rahal down to 8th, Herta down to 12th.
Crazy.
Both with excellent race cars and both with issues seemingly outside of their control. That's a tough, tough day at a race like this. When you had the pace, you've had the setup, you see some kind of issue on the left rear for Graham Rahal.
It's almost like he had to go back for another gun. I thought I saw the inside rear tire changer go back to the wall.
And this team knows all too well that that left rear needs to be on before it goes on the racetrack. If you remember back to the Indy 500 a year ago when Graham didn't have his left rear tight and it came off on the racetrack while leading.
Yeah, you saw he had to turn around, either grab a different gun or make some change, some adjustment.
His dad, Bobby. Oh, boy. A day that had promised so much. Still, let's take the positives. Teammate Christian Lundgaard is still running in the top 5 behind Will Power and Scott Dixon. Race leader Alex Palou. He's in control of this one. He's about 6 seconds ahead of Pato O'Ward, who's off sequence, and then you go back to Dixon as the next immediate threat. You're watching USA's coverage of IndyCar, brought to you by Hy-Vee. This racing season, you can help Hy-Vee reach their goal of 100 million meals by visiting Hy-Vee.com. Fifth Third Bank, official partner of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. This is banking a fifth third better. Permco Pumps, a family business and proud partner of Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing. With Permco, it's personal. And by Honda, an official vehicle of the NTT IndyCar Series. We're back, racing at Mid-Ohio, the Honda Indy 200, and 20 laps to go. And it's a Honda in front, in the hands of Spain's Alex Palou. He's won 3 of the last 4 races. He's in control here to the tune of more than 5 seconds, and looking good with a pit stop looming for the second place Pato O'Ward.
I think Pato O'Ward will be a lot of fun to watch, though. I would expect that he goes to the softer red tire, light fuel. He won't need a full fill to make it to the end. He should blend out around Devlin DeFrancesco as you see Pato O'Ward in second. I think he'll come out maybe around Herta Armstrong with fresh tires, light fuel, and a chance to maybe get himself up to the top 7.
25th to a top 10 at Mid-Ohio. That's awesome.
We saw some great passes on track in that first stint, so he's definitely going to be up to the task. It's going to be fun to watch.
All right, here is Mr. Mid-Ohio. Why do we call him that? If you're new to IndyCar, look at the GMR track facts. He is a 6-time winner here at Mid-Ohio. None better at this track than the guy you're watching on screen. Team Penske has the most wins, by the way, 12 over 11 to Chip Ganassi Racing. Those two organizations have dominated the 39 races thus far here and continue to again today with 2 of their cars in the top 3 at the moment.
You saw that stat, 7 of 8 of the last races here. Sorry. I've been one from the front row, but I don't think that's happening today.
And 6 different winners the last 6 years. Time to go through the field. We kick it off with Dylan Welsh.
And Will Power started 7th. He rides in the 4th spot right now. Feel like they have as good of a car this year as they had last year when he charged through the field from effectively last to 3rd. But Ron Rzuski, the strategist, said that's all relative. The field has gotten so much tighter and more competitive this year. We've got to find a way to just be better, and it starts in qualifying. Will felt like their qualifying effort hurt them a little bit, but they're making do running 4th right now, Kevin.
Right behind him is Christian Lundgaard, who's really effectively 4th, officially in 5th, but Pato O'Ward still has to make one more stop, and this would equal the best finish of the season for Christian Lundgaard, who told me today the momentum for Rahal Letterman Lanigan is real, and one of the factors is Stefano Sordo, the technical director that came over from the Formula One world. As expected, it's taken a little while for his impact to pay dividends. He's really helping in the aerodynamics, Dylan.
And Scott McLaughlin rides behind him in the 6th spot on track right now. Been a fairly quiet day for them. I think they're kind of in the same boat as their teammate. Felt like they had a good enough race car to maybe go back-to-back here, but starting where they did in the 8th spot, it was going to be tough. Kyle Moyer admitted we need the guys in front of us to have problems. They haven't really had problems yet. He said, if we can finish top 5, I think that's a successful day. They're close to it right now. Behind him, how about a nice day and a nice run for David Malukas on back-to-back weeks. Didn't get the finish that they wanted at Road America, but he said earlier this weekend that their start of their weekend at Road America was maybe their best weekend of the entire year, and as a result, team morale was high coming into this weekend. He had a top 10 here last year, his first in his career, on pace to deliver another one here as he rides in 7th. And Graham Rahal rides 8th, which I think he'll be disappointed with if that's where he ends up finishing. He said, you know, my expectations throughout this entire process have never changed, even though we're faster this weekend than we've been all year. I expected to win every single weekend this year, so this one's going to hurt a little bit. The positives of this, he did say, look, we just want to have a good day here, finish it off, finish solid. They're going to do that with a top 10 finish potentially, Kevin.
Alexander Rossi in 9th. He'll slide up to 8th because Pato O'Ward is going to pit on this lap, and this would be the 6th consecutive top 10 for Alexander Rossi. I suspect he's not going to come away super happy at this point. I think they thought more, considering how good the McLaren cars have been here, but it's still good progress in a new system. There you see O'Ward making that stop. It's the 3rd. They needed a caution to come at the right time to be able to take advantage of that pace that they've had, but the spin in qualifying is why O'Ward is just going to have to be satisfied for moving from his 25th starting position, maybe being able to settle for 11th, somewhere in that range.
Well, he's coming out right behind his teammate Alexander Rossi, but he is on the harder Firestone Blacks. I'm a little surprised based on the issue he had in qualifying. I would think he's got sticker reds available.
Yeah, for sure he must. And, I mean, I don't think he burned through a couple new sets in warm-up. So yeah, a bit of a surprising move with only 16 laps to go. He must have just preferred the balance on this set of tires.
But if he can hang on for a few corners, Diff, he will be ninth in the running order and with a chance to maybe press his teammate Alexander Rossi and go a couple positions better.
Haven't spoken much about the Green Machine, the Ridgeline Lubricants entry of Marcus Armstrong, leader in the Rookie of the Year battle for 2023. Remember, Marcus is only doing the road and street course races, not doing the ovals. The 11 cars driven by two-time Indy 500 winner Takuma Sato. First time here for Armstrong, and boy, his eyes were wide open earlier this weekend. He said, this is a challenging track, and I'm not sure that we have found the true secret, but as the weekend has progressed, he's got better every time out, Hinch, and now running in the top 10.
It's been an amazingly consistent season from him. 11th in St. Pete, 8th, 11th, 15th, 8th. Had a bit of an issue in Road America. First lap he didn't complete of the season was, I think, the last lap of Road America he went off the racetrack, but it's been a very consistent run from the rookie.
No mistakes, no big moments, nothing to be ashamed of at all. It's been solid all the way through. It reminds me a lot of Santino Ferrucci's rookie year when he was able to run mistake-free all the way until the last race at Laguna Seca. So settling in really well is Marcus Armstrong, and rumored to potentially be running the full season with Chip Ganassi Racing in 24.
And it's going to be a tough battle for Rookie of the Year. There's still 3 oval races left on the calendar, the doubleheader at Iowa, and then the final one at Gateway. He won't be competing in those. Augustine Canapino will, Benjamin Peterson, Stingray Robb, they will. He's got a 20-point lead in the Rookie of the Year battle right now over Augustine Canapino, but it's going to be tough. He's got to build up a big buffer to survive 3 races.
That's what underscores. Obviously, he's in a big budget team at Chip Ganassi Racing, but that's what underscores how well Marcus Armstrong has done this year. Not doing every race, but still has a commanding lead in the Rookie of the Year standings. 14 laps to go here. Things are getting tight, but they're not that tight at the front at all for Alex Palou. He's got an 11.5 second lead, and he is tucked in behind Connor Daly, who is obviously the last car on the lead lap for Meyershank Racing. And this is the reason Connor Daly is in Simon Pagenaud's car. If you didn't see it, this happened earlier this weekend. Yesterday morning, a wild, scary ride for the Frenchman. Watch this.
You're looking out of the front of a tumble dryer, Diff, as you have brake failure going in, fastest part of the racetrack. Amazing credit has to go to everyone that's developed that IndyCar to have it as safe as it is. He walked away from that accident.
And you know what a great job from Connor Daly to find out only this morning that he was racing today. He was able to do the warm-up as Alex Palou looks to make a move. But just think about where Connor Daly is running right now relative to his teammate. 4-time Indy 500 winner Helio Castroneves, one of the most experienced drivers in this field. He's raced at Mid-Ohio 16 times. He has 2 wins here. Connor Daly is right there with Castroneves on a race that has gone essentially green since lap 5. That's a solid day. That's all you could ask for from a guy stepping in with just hours of preparation.
How about the day for the defending race winner, Scott McLaughlin? He now runs in the top 5, but he's some 23 seconds adrift of race leader. Here's Pato O'Ward on his teammate. Wow. He said this may have happened when those tyres got up to temp. He goes by Alexander Rossi, so they've put O'Ward from 25th up to 8th place with just 12 laps to go.
Absolute drive of the day. Pato O'Ward making the 3-stop strategy work. Now he's got to get by Peterson and Ferrucci, and then he might have a shot to close the gap on the next driver up the road, Graham Rahal. Full 7 seconds.
We're trying to get help from Chevy.
I bet Alexander Rossi is on a growing list of drivers very frustrated with Benjamin Peterson. He's already a lap down to the leader. If a yellow comes up now, he's got nothing to gain, but he is driving like it's for his life, defending against lead lap cars. That is just not something you need to be doing at this stage of the race.
Brian Barnhart came on the radio, strategist for Alexander Rossi, saying we're trying to get help from Chevy. That's like kind of going to mom and saying, hey, can you please tell my brother to get along?
They don't. You know what to do, man.
Here we we go. Back straight. He'll have a shot here. How much push to pass has he got left? Of the 200 seconds, Ward's got 20 left. This
Peterson is not cooperating for whatever reason, but just do what you can do, make it pass.
He got by him. Big screen was on Rossi. Small screen down the bottom was live on Peterson, so he's cleared him.
O'Ward got by with a message. Here's the move O'Ward made on Rossi.
Peterson out of push to pass now. That's how O'Ward was able to clear him so easily, but a great move. Textbook from Pato O'Ward getting around his teammate, but yeah, that one's going to sting. There's going to be some interesting conversations, I think.
It just doesn't make any sense because even if a yellow came out for Peterson, he's going to get pushed to the back by IndyCar rules so that the lead car guys go to the front. So I just don't get it.
And now it's Colton Herta, your pole sitter, who's lining up Alexander Rossi to try to crack back into the top 10 after the issues that he's had. But it's this man, Alex Palou, 8.5 seconds in front.
That's not his biggest win margin this year. He won on the Indy Road Course by nearly 17 seconds. What a season for Palou. As we mentioned earlier in the show, you have a chance to drive away with a new Corvette courtesy of Hy-Vee and Gatorade all season long. All you need to do for a chance to win one of 4 Corvettes, grab your mobile device, scan the QR code that you see on the right-hand side of your screen, and enter the competition. One of 4 Corvettes could be yours. Welcome back to Mid-Ohio on this 4th of July weekend. Lots of camping out, grilling, hanging out with family and friends, and that's what it's about here on an annual basis here at Mid-Ohio. Happy 4th to you all, wherever you're watching and celebrating for this holiday weekend. And if you're watching from abroad, not here in North America, you might like to celebrate it as well, however you like. Meanwhile, it could be celebration time and fried chicken time again for Alex Palou if he wins another one. He's going for 3 in a row in just 8 laps time, and 4 victories in the last 5 races. Quite extraordinary from Alex Palou. There's Joseph Newgarden, the Indy 500 winner. Newgarden's down in 13th place, just ahead of Romain Grosjean.
And this could get dramatic as drivers get more and more frustrated trying to get past Benjamin Peterson. That's leading to this stack up here, allowing Grosjean to really start to plan his move potentially on Joseph Newgarden and Devlin DeFrancesco. As you see the Firestone telemetry, let's see what kind of top speed Grosjean can click off in that DHL Honda. Right at about 182, 183 miles an hour as they break for turn 4.
There is no way, if I ask the two of you on the pre-grid in our pre-race show, Colton Herta and Graham Rahal, will they likely finish 7th and 11th? You would have both would have looked at me and said, no way.
We would have been very skeptical, but if you said if there's an issue, it's going to be Palou, Dixon, and Power, we probably would have said, yeah, I could see that.
That tracks. That makes sense. It's funny, you know, where this lineup of cars, it can be so frustrating. You're stuck in this train. It's at the, again, started by Benjamin Peterson at the front here, a lap down. Alexander Rossi still unable to get by Romain Grosjean, sometimes known for being a bit loquacious on the radio. He doesn't seem to be too vocal about the issues that they're having. But
I mean, if I'm Peterson, I'm going to finish this race, come to pit lane, and just keep driving to Bellefontaine or somewhere out west and get away from the rest of these drivers. There's going to be a lot of guys wanting to have a conversation.
A lineup outside the 55 truck after this one.
He's been driving hard, but not being all that courteous. 6 laps to go here at Mid-Ohio. Alex Palou 9 seconds ahead of his teammate. What a day for Devlin DeFrancesco in that EvTech Honda. He was furious after Road America. He thought that there should have been a better result there delivered to him. And tempers ran high at the conclusion of that race, and he has responded. And I'm going to give him credit. He told me earlier this weekend, he said, you watch, we're going to bring in a good result this weekend. He's knocking on the door of a top 10. He's behind his teammate who started on the pole position, and he's leading the Indy 500 winner.
I'm watching, though, Diff, the onboard here of Joseph Newgarden, the PPG camera, but behind Newgarden, that yellow DHL car of Grosjean looks increasingly impatient with just 6 laps to go. Is he going to be able to use some restraint here, or how aggressive is he going to be?
6 laps to go and twice as much push to pass remaining for Romain Grosjean. He's at 30 seconds. Joseph Newgarden down at 13. Devlin down to 7 now, so it's getting close. Everyone's starting to run out as we come into a handful of laps here.
Grosjean
to
had
your
an opening.
point. I think he's keen, Townsend. He's keen to try to make a move, get that final position.
Here we go.
Finally, Rossi by. Looks like Peterson finally decided to let Alexander Rossi go by. Will he extend the same courtesy to Felix Rosenqvist?
Well, Rosenqvist is a lap down, and so that's for position. with Benjamin Peterson. So,
you know what, in Benjamin's defense then, that's actually, I forgot about that. That's a good point. Maybe that's part of why he didn't want to let Rossi by, is now he's exposed to an actual fight for position. So
for 25th.
Again, true. Felix Rosenqvist Day came undone on the opening lap when countryman Marcus Ericsson collided with him, and that put him a lap down. Ericsson's day was done. He's out of this race, the only retirement in this race actually, as Rosenqvist continues to fight. Look in the background, that continues between the yellow DHL machine and the PPG Chevy of Joseph Newgarden. Now remember, we came away from Road America with Will Power saying that Grosjean may have needed a smack in the head. He wasn't too happy. Does Grosjean upset his Team Penske teammate? Roman's trying, he's looking for an avenue through.
And when you drive a yellow car, Joseph Newgarden sees yellow in his mirrors much more vividly than a more muted color, as Grosjean's on push to pass and the marbles are flying.
I think he was on the radio actually, Townsend.
Well, that is push to pass for Grosjean. It's get on the radio and ask your team to do something.
All those drivers hold steady on those push to pass. Those three we talked about, Devlin DiFrancesco, Joseph Newgarden, Romain Grosjean. This is the battle right here for 12th, 13th, and 14th, running on board with Auto Nation here. And Grosjean through turn 9. Big wiggle from Dev up front there. Only 4 laps to go. Joseph Newgarden looking now on the inside of 11. This is not a place you pass.
Slight little kiss there.
Oh, this is a tough move to make on the outside of the final corner.
Teammate on teammate here. Grosjean's going to try and bulldoze his way through. Contact again with Devlin DiFrancesco. Here comes VK. VK!
Whoa! That's 150 miles an hour with wheel banging going on for Rinus VeeKay. Now Kyle Kirkwood's ready to party.
Trying to pick up the pieces from this little squabble here into turn 1. Contact there. Elbows out with a handful of laps to go.
They're not afraid to mix it up here at the end of this one. Let Callum Ilott join in the fun.
Newgarden looked in his mirror.
Just ran me off the road, extra 2.
Kyle Kirkwood.
Here comes Ilott, hook goes Hollinger Chevy. Kirkwood defends, one side to the other. The British driver looks for the inside line up the hill, can't get it done. Now he will switch lines. It's tough to make a pass through here.
I think Newgarden passed DiFrancesco more out of the fact that he was looking in his mirror thinking, Grosjean's gonna lose his patience here, I'm going forward.
Dev had a big moment coming out of turn 9, just like that actually.
Yeah.
That's what sort of opened the door, but then side by side through 11 here, that would have put Dev on the dirty side. Lots of dirt on his tires as he goes side by side with Grosjean.
There's one touch with Grosjean, just a brush.
There's more to come.
Here comes a second one.
See, Newgarden got it totally wrong coming out of 13.
Look at VeeKay, how brave. 3 wide on the outside into turn 1.
Couldn't quite pull it off, and then Kirkwood trying to just pick up the pieces here.
If we stay with this, well, Kirkwood was complaining he got pushed off in turn 2.
It's a huge oversteer moment from Newgarden. So Dev's trying to stay out of Newgarden, crowding Grosjean on the inside, and then hip checks VeeKay into 1. Man, that was manic. As look at the live pictures, Grosjean trying on the outside of Devlin DiFrancesco into turn 4. He's got it done.
By the way, we're not talking about scrapping over a podium spot. This is back in 13th, 14th, 15th, etc. IndyCar drivers fight hard, and 2 laps to go here at Mid-Ohio. 3rd place, Will Power. 4th place, Christian Lundgaard. That would be a season best equaling finish if he can hold off this man here in the 33s. Scott McLaughlin, the defending race winner. He won't defend that win. It's too tough, there's too big a gap. He's 20 seconds behind Alex Palou.
McLaughlin has 10 seconds more push to pass with a lap and a half to go over Christian Lundgaard, so he can start to use that button liberally and see if he can make something happen.
Thinking back to the head of this field again, I've been watching the gap between Palou and Dixon start to fall down. I was impressed with how much he had broken out from Scott Dixon, a 6-time winner here, and then I thought, oh, it's because he's caught some traffic. Who has he caught? He has caught Connor Daly, who was nose to tail with Ryan Hunter-Reay in the car that he was driving only 2 races ago.
He would definitely like to get ahead of that 20. You saw the white flag. There's just 2.25 miles to go for Alex Palou. Meanwhile, outside the top 10, the gloves are still off. There has been some hard racing. Rinus VeeKay.
This might be enough for VeeKay if he doesn't get pushed wide, but no, he does. DiFrancesco, pretty clever, taking away the option for Rinus VeeKay. Meanwhile, Kirkwood ready to pounce.
Don't forget, Callum Ilott right behind Kirkwood goes by now into 9. Brave move there. Kirkwood had some sort of issue, I think.
So Alex Palou is guiding the American Legion Honda home. It's going to give Chip Ganassi Racing its 12th victory here at Mid-Ohio. That ties Team Penske for the most of any racing organization here. It gives Alex his 4th win on the season. More importantly, 3 in a row. Hello, Palou. Alex does it again. Extends his championship lead and wins here at Mid-Ohio.
3 in a row, let's go! Thank you, boys. What an awesome day.
He's having some fun in that car.
Look at these guys. They know that this is a special time. People don't dominate the NTT IndyCar Series. It just doesn't happen. But Palou is doing it this year. He wins over his teammate. And 3rd place Will Power. Speaking of teammates here at Arrow McLaren, Rossi and Rosenquist and their teammate Pato O'Ward came home just behind Graham Rahal in 8th.
Not for position. Another solid run for Alexander Rossi in the top 10, but with Pato O'Ward coming all the way from the back and finishing in what looks like will be 8th position.
Colton Herta from pole position to 11th place. Unfortunately, for one of the most talented drivers in this field, the frustration continues. It was a pit lane speed violation that took a potential win and podium away from Colton Herta. There's Pato O'Ward, Graham Rahal, great day, but it's the American Legion Honda of Alex Palou that wins by 5 seconds to extend his championship lead to a triple-digit advantage. That is something you just don't see in this series at the season's halfway point.
Well, it's like they plugged in all the variables into their race machine today. Perfect strategy, great pace, mistake-free drive, cool, calm head when you're catching lap traffic. They ticked every single box to get the checkered flag moment.
The checkered flag moment brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. And Alex Palou, the 26-year-old Spaniard, is getting used to that. Seeing that checkered flag first. Well done, Graham Rahal and Christian Lundgaard and Jack Harvey. Team effort by Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. And a real positive feeling at a home track for the Rahal family name. How about that? Can anybody stop Alex Palou this year? This man is just doing it all right. Won the pole at the Indianapolis 500. Could very well have been the Indy 500 winner. There was a pit lane hiccup there and a collision with Rinus VeeKay. But this man here seems unstoppable in 2023. The American Legion slogan is "Be the One." Alex Palou is the one. Celebration time for Alex Palou. First win of the season came at the Indy Road Course. The next one on those streets of Detroit at the revised and the new circuit. And then 2 weeks ago at Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin at Road America. Now Mid-Ohio.
Last driver to do 3 in a row is his teammate Scott Dixon to kick off the 2020 season. But that is a rare feat in the IndyCar Series. As competitive as it is, he's only had 1 race finish outside of the top 5 so far this season. Absolutely incredible run.
And you've got to go back almost 20 years. Sebastian Bourdais winning 4 from 5. Here he is, Alex Palou, winner at Mid-Ohio.
American Legion's Be the One program. Alex Palou is definitely the one. 3 straight, first since Dixon in 20. You mentioned the Pagenaud run in 16, 4 of the last 5, and the championship lead is over 100 now. Going back to his win at Laguna Seca last year, that's 10 straight in the top 8 or better for Alex Palou, who wants to greet the entire Chip Ganassi Racing Honda program.
Oh my God.
Celebrating with Julian Robertson, his engineer, Barry Wanzer is down here, the entire crew. He took over the lead after the first pit stop, and no one was able to challenge him the rest of the way. So what was the difference of this one today, Alex?
Having a good car and good strategy. Honestly, we had a really fast car. We knew we needed to try something different to the guys that are starting up front. That's why we started on primaries. Everything went well, strategy, pit stops, and our pace was really good. So yeah, super happy.
You said this week you've not really been dominating. You're just maximizing, taking advantage of the points opportunities. Would you rephrase that? Would you rethink that? Are you really not dominating this championship right now?
I think maybe we're starting to, but honestly, no, we're not. It's really tight, as you can see. It's all about putting everything together. We've been able to do this quite often this year, and hopefully we can keep it going. But yeah, honestly, we've not been the fastest on all practices or qualifying, just on the race. So yeah, that's what it matters.
The last 5 races, nobody's been better than you. You probably could have, should have won the Indy 500. Have you ever had any kind of run like this at any time in anything in your life?
Yeah, probably on the simulator on iRacing, but yeah, part of that, no. This is the best moment of my career so far.
I know you'll downplay this and say the championship is not over. Let's look outside of you and what your competitors are thinking at this point. Would they say this guy's going to be very difficult to catch?
I don't know. You can ask them. We'll focus on what we can do. I know we can have some good couple of races coming up now, and we'll try and still maximize and do the best we can, try and win when we can. So yeah, try and get that number 10 American Legion up top.
Number 4 this season, 3 in a row for Alex Palou.
Doesn't get any better than that, does it? The smile says it all. As Alex gets with the team to celebrate.
And he brings up a great point. It's not about being quickest in practice, not even necessarily about being first in qualifying, but on race day, this team just shows up in a huge way, executes on strategy in the pits, and that man right there executes brilliantly on the racetrack.
I want to remind you that American Legion is dedicated to helping veterans through their toughest times by creating an outlet for vets to be the one to ask, listen, and reach out for help. You can learn more at www.betheone.org. The day belongs to Alex Palou, that is. He's done it again. Winning at Mid-Ohio on America's birthday weekend with one of America's most successful racing organizations, Chip Ganassi Racing. Chip likes winners, and he's got one here, that's for sure. Time to take a look at the Pennzoil moment of the race. And what it is the continuation of the winning ways of Alex Palou. That's the theme of this 2023 season. Moment of the race, moment of the season, really, moments of the season. Alex Palou's got it all going on. I mentioned earlier, this just does not happen, folks. The last 17 years in succession, the NTT IndyCar Series went down to the final race to be decided. This is a blowout. 110 points, the difference between teammates Palou and Dixon. It is a crazy advantage at the moment. You know what else is crazy? Today was Scott Dixon's 20th race at Mid-Ohio, and Dylan Welsh, it's the first time he's ever finished second here.
That's right, and it's his best result of the year as well, a runner-up finish today for Scott Dixon. So I think there was maybe some more in the tank. If you just gotten a little bit more clean air, it sounds like kind of on that last pit stop sequence. Is that maybe what the difference maker was?
Yeah, there was a few things. You know, I got to say it was a ton of fun driving my Honda out there today. It was all over the show with especially the start. Good racing there with the 45. I think I maybe should have pinched him off a little bit better on that first turn 5 and would have maybe had a clearer run, I think, for later on. And honestly, I think if we had cleared Herter, it would have been on with the 10. The pace of the number 9 PNC Bank was really good. So yeah, second place is great, but unfortunately the man we're chasing finished up first. But huge congrats to Alex and the 10-car crew. Doing a hell of a job this year.
We were just looking at that points difference. You do move to second, but it's 110 points. You've had a lead like that. You know that it can disappear quickly. Is that overcomable at the halfway point of the year?
Anything's possible. Like we've always seen, you know, you're never out of it until you're out of it. So we'll keep trying as hard as possible. I know we've tied on a championship in 15 over Montoya that we thought we were possibly out of it. So, you know, that's what's fun about the IndyCar Series and all the competition. But you got to give them credit. They're doing a hell of a job right now.
Good day for Scott Dixon again at Mid-Ohio. He finishes second.
Will Power comes home third podium of the season. Tell me what your day was like today.
Yeah, it was good solid day. Yeah, went long the first, saved some fuel, and went long, try the overcut to get some position the first stop, and held on the edge pretty good in the second stint. And I was surprised to be told I was third when I went across the line. I never know where I am in the race. They don't really tell me. But yeah, good day, good pressure from Lundgaard all day, and yeah, really good to get the Verizon Chevy on the podium. I don't think anyone's going to challenge Palou right now, but there's going to be a fight for second place in the championship.
So that's interesting when you say you don't know what position you're in. Do you think that's you, or do you think most drivers don't normally know where they're at in a race, or do you prefer not to know?
Yeah, I like to know. Like, you need to know if you're fighting hard for a podium or not, or you can be a bit conservative if you're not. But yeah, sometimes they tell me, sometimes you just know because of where you start and how things have played out. It was a bit of a interesting race, you know. You had some guys on 3 stops, but it's a good day. Good, typical, hard, competitive IndyCar race.
Podiums are always a good day, and Will Power has another. Dylan.
Scott McLaughlin comes home in the top 5 today. So I want to start first. Understand, did you go down and have a chat with Benjamin Peterson? Was there anything said there about anything on the racetrack?
Yeah, he's just said that he's not going to make any friends if he holds people up. You know, he's not even in our race. I get he's at a race of his own, but anyway, it is what it is. But Good Ranchers Chevy was really good. You know, I'm really happy with it. We lost 3 or 4 seconds in that exchange because of the 55, but yeah, it is what it is. You know, it's give or take in the series, and you know, if I'm a lap down and 55's behind me, who knows what I'm going to do.
Your race, there's so many different strategies going on with the tires. It seemed like everybody's tires were working differently based on, you know, whatever compound they were on. So what's that like when you're getting all that information? You're trying to balance saving fuel, saving tires, and just keeping cars behind you.
Yeah, look, it's the second stint on reds when everyone's on blacks and stuff. That was a lot of fun. You know, I was babying the reds and like really bringing them up nicely, and managed to like really haul on Graham and put a lot of pressure on him and his crew. And obviously they had a mistake there in the pits, so we were able to jump them. So. Look, you know, 5th was our potential, was our race today, but I really think a podium was our potential, and you can't be upset about that. You just got to keep rolling here, got great momentum. Really proud of everyone, the hard work, Team Chevy and Good Ranchers Chevy, and you know, we're in a good spot right now. I feel really good heading into Toronto, a really cool track.
Yeah, some good racetracks coming up for the Thirsty Threes. McLaughlin ends up 5th today, Kevin.
Road courses have been good racetracks for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan. Christian Lundgaard matches his season best result in 4th, moves up a spot on the day. So is it fair to say the momentum continues for your team?
I mean, I would say so. Just looking at the people that we are around on track, and we're still making progress and moving forward in the race. I think that just shows the progression that we're making, and we're there. Graham was on the front row. I was 5th starting the race. So considering where we were last year here, none of our cars transferred into Q2. So the RLL team is making progress. But no, I mean, we're making progress.
And we were talking about this morning a little bit. You've been pretty good on the road courses. We're going to learn some things in a couple of weeks at Toronto. What's your level of optimism there?
Last year, we made progress at Toronto. I think that's where we started moving forward as a team. So I'm pretty confident that going into Toronto this year that we'll be faster. So I hope the Hy-Vee car can get a good result there.
Christian Lundgaard is still knocking on the door for that first IndyCar win.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff from Christian Lundgaard in 4th, season equaling best. And his teammate Graham Rahal in 7th. Jack Hovey a little further back in 18th. But here's Will Power, the Verizon Chevy driver, saying, I didn't really realize I was 3rd until the end, but good result nonetheless.
It was a weird exchange because he said, they didn't tell me where I was, and when Kevin asked, was that what you like? He's like, no, I like to know where I am, especially if I'm fighting for a podium, it's good to know. And he was indeed fighting for a podium.
You would think with the radio button right there, you could always ask, but Will Power doesn't need to ask anybody how to go fast. He knows how to do blistering fast laps, whether it's at Mid-Ohio or just about any other racetrack in the world. This guy is something special, showing once again that he has the pace to get to the podium 2 years in a row.
While we celebrate here on the podium, I want to remind you that 5 this afternoon, 5 Eastern, just over an hour from now, for the first time ever, NASCAR hits the city streets of Chicago. It is going to be action-packed. Xfinity race was very eventful, or the portion that was run most certainly was. There's been a lot of unfortunate weather in the Chicago area, but 5 Eastern on NBC and Peacock this afternoon. It is going to be a fantastic occasion for the first time ever. Let's hear from David Malukas with Dylan Welch.
Yeah, really nice finish from Malukas and the Dale Coyne Racing team. 6th today. That's their first top 10 since Texas, all the way at the back of the second race of the year. So I know there was some optimism heading into this weekend. How rewarding is it that the optimism and the hard work that you guys have put in over the last few weeks has paid off here with a good finish?
It feels very good. You know, it's the first time in quite some time I've actually seen the crew smiling again. So, man, we needed that so much, and that was, I'd say, a near perfect race for us. To come from 12th to 6th with every single guy in front of us being so fast, it was perfect. We timed everything with strategy, and, man, it was by far our best race of this season, and it feels good. We went to Road America, we found pace, and unfortunately, you know, we had some mechanical issues, and going into this weekend, we had fingers crossed. We managed to break the fast 12 first time this season. I was like, okay, please, everything just stay together and let's just get this race done. And we didn't just get it done, but we did it perfectly.
You had a strong run here last year, a top 10. You have another one here this weekend, obviously, at a track that is deemed to be pretty tricky, pretty hard to get a hold of sometimes. What about the setup that you guys have, or the way you drive this racetrack works for you so well here?
You know, I went through the ladder series, so I've been at this track in every sort of car leading up to IndyCar, and it has always been one of my favorites. And you know, growing up, I always raced against Kyle here, and he was known as a legend, so I was able to always drive 110% with him and try to perfect it, and that with a very good car that Dale Coyne has given me, it all worked out together. And also, thank you to Pruday. I just joined the Pruday group chat, whatever it may be, and I think that was the lucky charm I needed.
All right, so understand there was some hard racing with you and Benjamin Peterson out there on the racetrack. What can you say about that?
Yeah, well, I said what I said on the radio. I mean, he was just blocking. I mean, he's probably trying to block for Ferrucci, but if I was ever put in that position, I would never do that. I mean, all you're doing is just making enemies. He's definitely made an enemy for me. I mean, you're just trying to ruin everybody's races for no reason. So, yeah, I just don't think that's the way you should drive.
Thank you, David. Nice run for the Dale Coyne Group. 6th today for Malukas.
You know, in the last 6 races, that young man's best result was 19th. So to come away with a 6th,
feels like a win.
That's epic. It does feel like a win. Alex Palou knows what a win feels like. It's normal now. Go to the track and stand on the top step of the podium. It's become habitual. But the man to his right, his teammate, knows all too well what it's like to have a triple-digit lead in this series and have it whittled away, and kind of won that championship on his knees, so to speak. And he didn't enjoy it. It was horrible. And we saw Scott Dixon kind of wither under that pressure. It's not nice. Is that going to happen to Alex Palou, or is he just going to keep steaming towards the end of the championship?
Well, you think about the races coming up, Toronto, bumpy, unforgiving street circuit, couple of short ovals, some more permanent road courses. Not a single one of those is a weak point for Alex Palou. And if you just think about how his team executed today, Hinch, they just looked like it is just becoming automatic.
Look, the only unknown kind of moving forward, the only question mark is those short ovals. We saw him really improve on the super speedways, was great at Texas, obviously incredible at the Indianapolis 500. Iowa's a different beast. Gateway's a different beast, and that's the one track where we haven't, in this very young career, really seen a breakout performance. So if there's a chance for anyone, Scott Dixon obviously first in line, to close that gap, that's where it really has to happen. Toronto, like you said, short, bumpy street circuit. We just saw him absolutely dominate at one of those in Detroit.
How about the drive from Pato O'Ward at the Arrow McLaren team? 17 positions gained from 25th to 8th. Let's hear from him.
He looks like he's put in a full day of work at the office, and a hard-charging performance, no doubt about that. So I know that there's strategy involved always, Pato, when you have to come from that deep in the field. But I think your race car was pretty strong, too, to allow you to pass some race cars. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. I was comfortable in it. I was happy in it. And we didn't have help from anybody. No yellows, no lappers, no nothing. And I kind of saw that the leaders were struggling with the lappers a little bit. Like, dude, it's not your day. Get out of the way. Like that has to be looked at from IndyCar. Like, that's just, they're just screwing everybody else's day. But I'm happy with our result, considering that we truly have to fight for every single position. We passed almost every single car on track, so there wasn't one lap that went through and we weren't
that we weren't pushing to the absolute maximum. So yeah, pleased with that, and congratulations to Alex.
How tough of a day is that on a track where the limit is very fine of going over the edge when you have to push that hard for the full 80-lap distance?
I had a few moments. I'm gonna have myself a nice big old burger tonight.
Just a burger?
With like some French fries, maybe some ice cream, chocolate ice cream, yeah.
All right, you've earned it. Good run. Pato O'Ward, 8th from 25th today at Mid-Ohio.
Graham Rahal also had a really good run. Started second, finished 7th, but I'm wondering what the feeling is at this point, because there could have been so much more available with the 2 pit stop issues.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's we win as a team, we lose as a team. Obviously, I thought the 5th third bank car should have been further forward today. But it's a quick reminder, we got to be better in every phase of the program. And you know, we raised $4,000 for Turns for Troops with United Rentals today. We're going to continue to give back and help our veterans. That's always a positive. But yeah, I mean, I'm disappointed. You know, that's a fact. You know, it's gonna sting to think about it over the next couple of weeks. But you know, we just got to continue to improve in every aspect of the game. And that is what it is. So we'll put our heads down, we'll enjoy the 4th here, and we'll come back at Toronto.
You'd love to have a better result, one that you were certainly capable of today, but the other side of that, though, is what's been the progress here recently? How much further ahead are you than you were, say, through the issues in May?
Yeah, I mean, this is, you know, it's solid. I mean, the GP in May, we were pretty good, too. So, you know, this is definitely a solid response for us as a team. But we're going to keep putting our heads down. As I said, today was a quick reminder that, you know, not only do we need to be better, you know, with performance and qualifying and everything else, but in every phase, and that includes myself. So just got to all put our heads down and continue to improve. When you want to compete with Palou and guys like that are clicking in every aspect of the game, it takes a lot, and we certainly have got work to do.
Thank you, Graham. Dylan.
Romain Grosjean finishes in the 13th spot today. Started 14th, so picked up a spot, but said your day was tough. What was tough about it?
Yeah, I think we had the wrong strategy, and we just lost a lot of place at the beginning. I also feel like the tires this weekend were really up and down, and we may have had a bad set in qualifying, and in the race they just weren't working very well. So no one could follow anyone, no one could pass. So that was not easy.
It was an up and down weekend, to say the least, at Road America last time out. This weekend seemed to be a little bit more kind of middle of the road, a little bit less dramatic. What positives can you take from a day like today?
Yeah, I think we executed what we had, and we just need to find a bit more pace. I think we know where to look with the car, so we're going to come back stronger.
All right, encouraging words from Romain Grosjean.
That's his best result in the last 4 races. So although 13th doesn't sound that flattering, at least it's heading in the right direction, and it's a finish. It's a finish, not a DNF.
Yeah, look at where Grosjean is at points. Still 12th, up 1 position, just behind teammate Kyle Kirkwood. So if he can continue methodical march forward, and I liked the restraint that he showed in what could have been kind of more car-to-car drama there in the closing laps.
That was one of the things we didn't get to comment on off the back of the Pato O'Ward interview. Quite often he's been accused of being too aggressive, too impatient. That was a very measured, calculated, mature drive today by Pato O'Ward, as we look forward to 2 weeks' time to racing on the streets of Toronto, Ontario, Canada.
IndyCar is back in Canada. It's the Honda Indy Toronto.
Side by side, 2 wide, some great action here.
Here it comes.
And
oh, no.
Rossi is into the wall. Scott Dixon has done it in Toronto.
And that's going to be on Peacock. You'll be able to see that on Peacock with limited commercial interruption. It's the only one in totality on Peacock this year across the 17 races of the NTT IndyCar season. You know, there are hundreds and hundreds of Honda employees, associates, and their families here today because of the various manufacturing plants here in the state of Ohio. For them to see a Honda car, get a victory here today, it is huge. It wanted to be that guy, the 23-year-old Californian Colton Herta. Unfortunately, it did not happen for Colton today. Back-to-back poles and no wins, but he will come back. He's a super talented young driver. The Grant Park 220 is not far away, 5 p.m. Eastern today on NBC, seeing NASCAR Cup Series car on the city streets for the very first time. What a special weekend of racing. Hope you enjoyed the Honda Indy 200 here at Mid-Ohio. It was a hard-fought day, especially for that guy, Pato O'Ward. We'll go racing again, IndyCar style, in Toronto, north of the border in just 2 weeks' time, when Marcus Ericsson will look to fight a better day. It was eventful, to say the least, but the same thing continues. Alex Palou in control. Thanks for watching IndyCars here on your home of motorsports. NASCAR's at 5 on NBC.